Hello and welcome. You are listening to the Happya Life podcast. I'm your host, Clare Deacon. After deciding survival wasn't enough, I set out on a path to live my best life. I wanted to thrive. Now I'm on a mission to support others. Think you're not good enough, confident enough, brave enough? I'm here to tell you you are, and you can achieve anything. This is your time, so let's do this. Hello and welcome back to the Happya Life podcast. I'm Clare Deacon, a positive psychology coach, trauma-informed therapist and founder of Happya. And today we're diving into something I know so many of you feel, even if you don't have the words for it. Anxious in overdrive. It's that feeling like your mind is racing, your heart is thudding, your breath is shallow, and you can't quite land anywhere. It's the kind of anxiety that doesn't wait for something bad to happen. It shows up without warning and overstays its welcome. This episode is for you if you've ever found yourself wired but exhausted, struggling to relax, even when nothing's technically wrong. If you find yourself overreacting to the small things, replaying conversations over and over, or feeling simply like you can't quite shut off your mind, you're not broken. Your nervous system is just doing what it's been trained to do. And the good news there is there are effective ways to shift it. So we're going to unpack what it means to be in nervous system overdrive, why it happens, especially for women who've lived in survival mode, and most importantly, I'll guide you through a series of 5-minute regulation tools that you can use anywhere, anytime, no apps, no equipment, just you, your body, and your breath. So take a moment to let your shoulders drop right now. If they've crept up round your ears, and let them loose and take a slow breath because you're here and you're already getting started. So let's start by naming what nervous system overdrive really is. We can often call it anxiety, but underneath that, it's a state of hyperarousal. It's a survival response where your sympathetic nervous system has taken the wheel. So that's your fight or flight system, and it's designed to keep you safe. But when it constantly activates, everything starts to feel like threat. Deadlines, social media notifications, even silence can be uncomfortable. For many women, especially those who've lived through trauma or constant pressure, your central nervous system may have learned that being on high alert is the safest state to be in. Your amygdala, the part of the brain that has this function in it, gets stuck. So perhaps you grew up watching for danger before it arrived, reading the room before you even walked in, anticipating everyone's needs so that you could stay safe, so that you could stay liked, or you could stay hidden, so you could be small. And over time, that becomes your baseline. So I can remember working with a client who told me that she can never fully relax. It feels dangerous. And that hit me because I've felt that too. When you've spent years living in survival mode, stillness doesn't feel like safety. It feels like vulnerability, as though you should be on guard all of the time. So, what does this state actually feel like in your body? Maybe you can recognize some of these symptoms. Perhaps you experience racing thoughts, You have shallow breathing, a tight chest, fidgeting, restlessness, digestive issues, a clenched jaw, difficulty concentrating, irritability, a constant sense that something bad is about to happen. And here's what's important to know. This isn't all in your head. This is your body's survival system working overtime. Your brain is scanning for threat. Your body is preparing to respond. And unless you actively shift that state, your system won't reset on its own. But there is hope. And you don't have to meditate for an hour or escape to a cabin in the woods to feel better. 5 minutes can make a meaningful difference when you know how to work with your nervous system and not against it. So, I want to share a tool I use personally and teach my clients all the time. I call it a 5 minute reset, and it's not a gimmick. It's based on how your vagus nerve communicates safety to your brain. So, the first part is to find safety in your body, and the fastest way to do that is through breath, not just deep breathing. I want you to focus on extending the exhale, and here's how. So, I want you to breathe in for a count of 4, then hold it for the count of 1, and then breathe out. So, exhale for 7 counts. And I want you to do that 3 times. And here's why. When you lengthen the exhale, you activate the parasympathetic nervous system. It's the part that's responsible for rest and digestion, and it gently tells your brain that we're okay now. So, the next is to find grounding. So, press your feet onto the floor. Feel that contact. Feel your legs. If you're standing, shift your weight slowly from side to side. And if you're seated, you can press the palms, your hands together. This physical input reminds your body that you're here now, not back in the past or not in the future, but you are safe in this moment. Okay. Next, I want you to turn your head slowly from side to side and notice 3 things you can see, 3 things you can hear, and 3 things that you can feel in your body. So, this task helps your brain take in the environment. It switches off threat detection mode and switches on presence. You might notice a small shift already. Maybe your jaw has softened or your breath has deepened. Or maybe nothing changes immediately, and that's okay too, because your body might just need time and repetition to trust safety again. The key is consistency. These tools are not a one and done, they're habits you build over time, just like brushing your teeth. You do them before the crisis so that they're there when you need them the most. Remember what I always say, well-being is not a one and done, it's a constant process. You have to keep refueling, you have to keep investing in yourself. So when you think about it, what I've just taught you, where can you use that 5 minute reset? Literally anywhere. You can do it in the car before school drop off, in the loo, work while you're waiting for the kettle to boil, in the queue at the supermarket. Do it before a difficult conversation or when you can feel the wave of anxiety building. And if 5 minutes itself feels like it's too long, start with 1 and build from there. You're not doing it wrong if it doesn't feel like magic right away. You're doing it right because you're showing up for yourself. It just takes time to feel safe. So let's talk briefly about why this works, because understanding the science can help override the shame. Your vagus nerve is like a communication highway between your brain and your body. It affects your breathing, your heart rate, your digestion, your voice tone, and your emotions. And when it's underactive or overwhelmed, you can feel disconnected, anxious, flat, or hyper alert. When you stimulate it through breath, voice, sound, or touch, you literally reset the system and begin to regulate. That's why humming, singing, gentle breath work, warm drinks, cold drinks, even laughter are all regulation tools because they speak the language of your nervous system. So I want to address something I hear often, but I don't have the time to do this. I'm too busy. And I get it. Life is full. But I also want to ask gently now, how much energy is being drained by staying in a state of overdrive, by constantly firefighting, by burning out slowly and silently? What would it be worth to you to feel even 10% more calm, more grounded, more yourself? When I finally integrated these resets into my day, everything really began to shift. I didn't wait until the kids were in bed or work was done because we know we never get to the end of that list. I started doing them in the in between moments, and over time, I felt more anchored, more clear, more capable. It enabled me to take the next step and then the next and then the next. And I want that for you too. And here's what I know: reaching out for support when you're in this state can feel like one more thing to do. Maybe you're thinking, I'm not that bad. I should be able to cope. Or there are others who need more help than I do. I used to think that too. I used to believe I had to kind of hit a rock bottom before I was allowed to get help or needed to have help, and that I should be able to do that for myself. Well, what I want to ask you is, what if we flipped that? What if you didn't have to break to begin? What if taking care of yourself before the collapse was the most radical and wise thing you could do? So, if you're listening and thinking, this is me, if your nervous system feels like it's in overdrive most days, if you're exhausted from being on all the time, this is your permission to reach out. Send me a message on Instagram or by email and let me know what's going on. I'll signpost you to the right support, whether that's coaching, resources, or just a gentle next step. Because you don't need to do this alone. You're not weak for needing help. You're wise for choosing it. So all that leaves me to say is thank you for spending this time with me today, for making space for your nervous system, for your body, for your peace. I'll see you next week where we'll explore how to stop reacting and start responding even when you're triggered. And I'm sure some of you out there can relate to that. So until then, take the breath, ground your feet, and remind yourself, I am safe, I am here, and I'm allowed to rest. Until next time, take good care of you. If you've enjoyed this episode, ensure you hit subscribe, head on over to my website happiercoach.com, sign up for the weekly newsletter, and let me support you in living a happier life. I'm your host, Clare Deacon. Thank you for listening. Have a fabulous day.